Right, everyone, well, thanks for coming. There's a lot more people than I expected. Be gentle, be gentle.
Never!
Yeah. I'm the GM, I can kill yours if I want to.
Good point.
Now I'm going to roll a 20. Right, well, so, you've got 1 die. My name's Raya, and I've been in GMing now for about 11 odd years. I tend to be stuck in the forever GM position, so I thought, well, why not run a panel on it to spread the suffering around. So just a quick overview of the panel. We're going to go over what exactly is a GM, the nuts and bolts, how to actually create the game, how to do all the mechanics behind the scenes, the creative bit, how you actually make the world for the players to investigate, the GM problems and how to solve them. There is a lot of problems with being a GM. This has to do with the most common ones. Problem players, who are the worst of all, and how not to kill them. And scattered throughout, we'll have the GM commandments, the GM deadly sins, so things to abide by and things to avoid. And we'll finish off with a Q&A, so you can click whatever you like, if you questions, not literally anything.
Oh.
Yeah, so just get an idea, how many people here have never GM'd? Quite a few. How many have GM'd once or twice? How have GM'd more than that? Poor bastards.
That's what I say to my players.
Well, if you're new to it, hopefully it should give you a crash course, and if you're used to it, hopefully it'll give you some pointers on how to improve the game.
We're here for the sympathy and the interesting stories.
Oh, yeah.
There's always one.
It's like GM's Anonymous, just sit around and share the page. So first of all, what exactly is a GM? Now, I'm going to refer to this as a GM all throughout, the games master, the person who runs the game, but depending on what system you do, you can hear it referred to as DM, the Dungeon Master, if you're old school, storyteller, the AI, your friend computer,
Praise friend computer!
or that horrible evil bastard who murdered my favourite character. You will get called a lot of things as a GM, most of it not very nice. So what exactly is the job of the GM? Well, the main one, you oversee the game. That is your name. You are the games master. You are the one who controls it and works out everything. It's also your job to create the story. Even though the players are the heroes and they're having the adventure, you're the one who sets them on the path. You also have to play the roles of the NPCs, which is the most challenging part of it, and referee the rules. If the player wants to do something, you're the one who has to decide what they can and cannot do. And basically, being the service provider. As the GM, you're not the ruler of the game. It is your job to provide a service to the players. You are there to make sure the players have fun, which is the golden rule. It doesn't matter if your game is complete and utter shit. It's the twilight of role-playing. If the players are having fun, you're a brilliant GM. If you run a game that puts Game of Thrones to shame, but the players are bored, then you're a crap GM. That is the main thing. As long as you walk away with that, I've done my job.
I am the Game Master, you are my pawns. I created the world you see before you. I control your fate.
Yeah? Well, you're still a cheater. I don't even know why we play this game with you.
All you ever do is try to kill us.
Yeah, we'll get to roll savings throws to see if our constitutions can withstand evil magic.
Fine, you can roll your little saving throws. Roll that dice. 41,
40, 43.
You are fraud! You eat your booze? 20 left points! No!
GM commandment number 1, you are not the enemy. This is a hangover from the old Dungeons and Dragons games. A lot of people think as the GM, it's your job to kill the players and make their lives hell. Sometimes it is, granted. But the main thing is, again, you're the service provider. You are not the antagonist to make life hell for the PCs and try and kill their characters. You're there to make sure they have fun. So don't go out of your way to try and kill them as much as you really want to. Now, to us, everybody should GM. If you play role-play games, at some point you have to get on the other side of the screen. But there's a big difference between being a GM and being an amazing GM. And the best GMs tend to have 5 traits. First of all, integrity. Your players have to trust you. They have to know that you're going to treat them fairly, you're not going to go out out your way to kill them. You're going to treat everyone equally. If the players don't have any trust in you, they're not going to enjoy the game. Next up, funnily enough, creativity. Yeah, you can run adventures out of the box, but you're the one who has to come up with all the adventures. You have to come up with the plot hooks, the villains, the NPCs, the magical artifacts. Patience, my God, you need patience. Everyone who GMs gets placed in heaven as a saint. Now, your players, they will fuck up your game. They will miss the plot points, they will mess around at the gaming table. You've got to take it all with a grain of salt. You've got to be patient with your players. Organisation. So you've got to do your background research, get your character sheets, make sure you've got the rules. If there's NPCs, get your stats for them. If they're fighting monsters, get the stats for the monsters. Because there's nothing worse than slowing down the game so you're flicking through the books trying to find stuff.
So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. You can ignore it before, this is the most important thing. Bullshit. Being a GM is a bit like a swan. It looks like it's sailing serenely, but underneath those legs are going like mad. So even though everything's crushing and burning around you and it's all going horribly wrong.
This is fine.
Yes,
this is fine.
I'm fine with the way things are burning. Yeah, so you've got to stay calm and make out that you plan this all along. If the players think you're an evil mastermind, that's it. It doesn't matter how screwed up you
Yes,
are.
I took it to the pub because I wanted you to play a role-playing game within a role-playing game within a role-playing game.
There's nothing more satisfying as a GM when you sit there going, just this plan. So all 5 traits combined, you're an awesome. Right, so then you think.
Which one's hard? Which one's the shit one?
Right, so for God knows what reason, probably you hate yourself, you decided to become a GM. So first off, what exactly did you choose in a game? Obviously D&D, because look at this cool guy. It's a genuine advert, by the way, for D&D.
No, minions have been around for a while.
So first of all, what exactly do the players want to do? I mean, if they want to kick down the door and murder monsters, you're not going to run Call of Cthulhu. So like, if they want to do an investigatory game going about the darkness of the human side, they're not going to play Golden Sky Stories. So just talk to the players, find out what sort of games do they want to play, and what exactly do they like? Do they want to go all grim dark in the far future, or do they want to play historical fantasy? What do they want to do? And does anyone actually know the world? So if you're playing something like Warhammer, Fantasy or whatever, are the players aware of the world, or do you have to explain the backstory? I have a terrible confession here. I was once a player in a Discworld game, and I hadn't read a Discworld book at that point. Yes. I think that's why I got invited to it, because I was actually clueless.
Get out! Get out! No.
Yeah, I'll get the code. Right, what stuff do you need? I mean, like, do you need D6s, D10s, D20s? Do you need miniatures? Do you need maps? Like, Fred, for instance, you need a Jenga tower rather than dice. So, do you need to invest in anything to play the game? And also, do you want to run it? I mean, has everyone played Cthulhu Tag? Good, because it's shit. So, like, if my players wanted to run that, I wouldn't enjoy it, and because I wouldn't enjoy it, it would reflect on the game itself. I wouldn't be giving it the 100% that the players would want, so just make sure you want to run it as well. Which leads into GM Commandment number 2.
Dungeons, dungeons, and more dungeons! Do you want to play with me?
Well, I do like unicorns, and that hot elf looks promising. How do you play?
The rules are simple. First, you roll a 38-sided die to determine the level of each player's statistical analysis power orb. These orbs relate directly to the amount of quadrants that your team has dominion over, which is inverse to the anti-quadrants in your quadrant central.
And then we rank unicorns?
Yes! And no. First, we make a graph.
I say, you don't need to learn the entire book. Some role-playing books, you can beat a small child to death with, they're that thick. You don't need to learn all the rules in it. But as long as you know the basics, so again, the players say, I want to punch this kitten. You don't have to go looking for the rules for punching kittens. One thing I find that's really handy that I do is to make a little cheat sheet. So all you really need is a basic summary of how to hit things, basic summary of how to do an action, and basic summary of how you heal. Oh, this is for Valley Eternity, by the way, where you play penguins. Yeah, it's also quite handy for you. Yeah, I'm serious, this game when you play penguins. Yeah, so well is it's a brand new system, and it's really handy for the players because they can just refer to it. Which is GM commandment number 3. But don't you actually recognise this character? Yay! Go coin to whoever names him. Dungeon Master. Yeah, oh, you go. I have 1 point in athletics, don't judge me. Yeah, remember, the rules are there to serve you, the game's master, not the other way round. If a rule says to do one thing, but it works out a better way, ignore the rule, do it your own way. The house rule I have is that if it makes me laugh, I will allow it, even though it goes against the rules, which my players know and they do abuse on a regular basis, including you. What? Right, so you decided to run a game, so how can you run it? First of all, we have the one-off. This is a game that's contained in a single session, the sort you might find at a convention, for instance, or if you're just trying out a new game. Yeah, exactly. So you've got, I think the one-offs are the hardest one to do, because you've got to condense it all into one session. So, introduction. Why are the players here? You meet in a bar. Which made it investigation. So you're in the bar, you find out, oh, the village is being attacked by a dragon. You go investigate, oh, the dragon lives in a nearby mountain. You travel to the mountain. And confrontations. If you do the one-off, you want a big boss fight at the end, because that's the best. So you fight the dragon, there we go. It's really hard to do one-offs and stay within the time constraints. You will find yourself chopping out bits of the plot as you go, because the players will just talk about it, to be honest. Next one is the short game. These are ones that run for maybe 5-6 sessions. So you've chosen a game, you think, oh, that's quite good, you give it a short go. Very similar to the original, you just pad it out a bit. Well, the first confrontation, look at that as being the mid-boss. So, using the previous one, you go, you find the dragon, you fight the dragon, turns out, no, the dragon is just actually attacking the village, it's an orders of a bigger dragon. So you go investigate the other threat, and then you carry on like that. Finally, campaign, I'm not animating this shit. Yeah. Basically, same as before, but you just move around the middle as much as possible. So you have a session where you investigate things, you have like a mini-boss, so say your big antagonist is a warlord who's laying waste to the country. Perhaps the mini-boss fights are just their generals, as each time the party works their way up to the final big bad. So how exactly do you make it relevant for your players? Again, the players are the heroes, so how do you tailor the game to suit the players? Well, firstly, what are the actual player characters' goals themselves? Do they want to rescue their kidnapped sister? Do they want to win glory? Do they want revenge? Speak to your players, find what the backstory of their character is, and try and work it to the game somehow. If the players were killed by orcs when they were young, have them meet up the orc chief, for instance. Oh, I animated that the wrong way around. Okay, remember, the players are the heroes. Again, you can come up with this amazing plot, but the players are the centre stage. They're the ones who drive the plot. Don't let anyone else upstage them. Now, give everyone something to do, because I'm sure you've all played a game, those who have played, where you've gone to, I don't know, a cat or a bar or something, and your character's done absolutely nothing. Like recently, I've been playing the 2nd edition D&D game as the cleric. I couldn't do fuck all most games. I was literally just standing at the back, cheering everyone on, and it was boring. So always make sure the players have something to do, even if it's something little. And give everyone a day in the limelight. Like, if you think to whatever anime you like, but your favourite character is a minor character, your favourite episode is the one where that character gets the day in the limelight episode. Make sure every player gets a chance to shine at some point. If you've got a rogue, have them make sense stage where they break into a building to steal a jewel. If you've got a cleric, have them be at the centre of a battle, healing people. Make sure everyone gets to be the star of at least one session.
Good point. Use my sword. Even with triple damage, it's not gonna kill a guy hump size. Wait. I have a better idea.
You're gonna backstab him with a ballista.
Uh-huh.
Is it a fucking siege weapon?
Uh-huh.
Okay, there's gotta be a rule against this. Well, that's 264 points. You splatter, huh? focus on appearance. The patron, shriek in horror and run out at the end, occasionally slipping but not tripping. Now alone in a room, the bed of beef stroganoff exploding.
Cool.
Command number 4. Expect the unexpected. The players do not think outside the box. The players have no idea the box exists. It is a theoretical concept. If you plan out option A, B, or C, they will go with option Q. To use one example, look at you guys do. My players had to break into a nightclub and the bouncer wouldn't let them in, so I thought, oh, maybe you could bribe the way or persuade him or sneak round the back. Walk up to the bouncer, punch him in the face, knock him out. Yes, it did work. Yeah. So the players will pull the rug from under your feet at some point. But again, going back to the pie traits, bullshitting. You've just got to roll with it, and don't worry too much if they do break your game. So, now you've decided to plan out a session, you've got it all sorted, so there's 2 ways of writing a session. First of all is structure. That's what I like to do. So the players are at a start point, and you want them to be at a finish point at the end. So what I do is break them down to a tree. So like event 1 and event 2, perhaps the players would go to the docks or go to the bar. They think, well, what events could happen at the bar if they start a bar fight? Do they speak to an NPC, which branches out to further events? So it always makes sure the players have something to do, so you're not left trying to struggle for plot ideas. But eventually, it all leads to the finish. There's also, if you're feeling adventurous, the sandbox approach. Where you know the start, you know the finish, but you've got no idea what's going to happen in the middle. Now this is the hardest one to do, and it's quite hard for the players as well, because if the players are expecting you to throw clues at them, they're going to really struggle with it. So only really do this if you're a skilled GM. Which leads to the first GM sim. Railroading. Now, coming with volunteer, I'm going to use as an illustration of what railroading is. Choose you if you're closer. Right, Big forgot to give me a microphone, so. Alright then. Right, you're in a dungeon, you've got 3 doors in front of you, red, blue, and yellow. What do you want to do?
Go to level.
It's locked.
Go to blue.
It's locked.
Go to blue.
Yay, you got through! So cool. Railroading is where you take away the choice from the players. You give them options, but they can only choose one path. And it is really frustrating if you're a player. It's like, if you've got no free will, why the hell are you playing this game? You're just sitting there if the GM is controlling your actions. Now, railroading isn't necessarily bad if the players aren't aware of it. So, say for instance, I want you to go through the yellow door. You say, oh, I'm going through the red door. I just move whatever's behind the yellow door, behind the red door. Again, as long as the players are having fun and they don't know about it, it's alright. It's GM commandment number 5. Don't be afraid to step in. Now, I'm sure that everyone who's GM, sometimes your players will be there yapping at each other, laughing about an action or talking, or they can't decide what to do. Feel free to step in and just tell them to shut up and get on with it. Some players are a bit shy, they don't like to take actions, they're a bit unsure, so just step in and go, what are you doing? What are you doing now? You don't want the game to drag on for ages. So even if you feel a bit rude, you're the games master, don't be afraid to step in, call people out. So now we go on to the creative bit now. World building. Now, unless you're running a really weird horror game where everyone's trapped in a single room, the players are going to be exploring some kind of world. And one of the reasons people will roleplay is the adventure side of it. They want to explore this world, whether it's a dystopian future or a fancy kingdom, and it's your job to make this world come alive. But before we get started, let's go on to the next GM sim. Magical Realm. Yeah, from the last, I'm guessing some people know what this is. Magical Realm is when the GM puts their fetish into the game. And this is more common than you think. If you've played, you've probably been victim to this at some point. Basically, don't do it. It's because the problem is some GMs, because they think, oh, they're in a position of power, they kind of work it into the game. And if you're aware of this as a player, it's really, really creepy. Yeah, so I was a victim of this once, where the GM had my character tied up and molested, and it later got pointed out to me this guy had a rape fetish. Like, clean. Yeah. But again, it's not necessarily all that bad. So say you just have a thing for submissive Lamias, because we're not going to judge first. Right. Yeah. So perhaps you just have Lamias act as maids in this world. Yeah, that's nice, isn't nice bit of world building, bit of flavour. That's good. This is bad.
Is this the hentai
running
part?
that kind of game, which I'm not going to judge. Right. But the next one would be. Oh, that's exciting on the big screen. Okay, it's supposed to be Sauron. Right. The big bad evil guy. Now, the villain, after the place, is the most important character in the game. It might not necessarily be a person. It could be a warlord, it could be an eldritch abomination, it could be a cursed artifact, it could be something abstract like loneliness and the darkness of human souls. But if you think to all your favourite video games, if you were describing it to someone, you would talk about the villain and how great that villain is. And it's the same thing, a good villain really makes a game. So just to show about what makes a good villain, I'm going to use Disney villains as an example and how well they would actually work. So, top tier. Jafar. And why is he good? Well, he's a powerful opponent for a start. He's like a mighty sorcerer, turns into a snake, and he's in a position of power, he's a good opponent. And he implements the plot from the very beginning. He doesn't pop out at the end. He's there, like, he finds where the lamp is, he sends Aladdin on his quest, he's there involved with the heroes from the start. And he's got good motivation. He has a reason, like he hates the Sultan, he's there, he wants to take power. Interesting henchman. I said, Iago's memorable. Again, you're probably going to have your place interact with a henchman. If you've got good henchmen, that's half the fun. Actively causes problems for the heroes. He appears throughout the film, starts causing problems. Again, if your villain's doing this is great. And he's defeated by brains as well as fraud. Like, it's tempting to have a big boss fight where the place is just kicking the shit out of whatever it is. But in Jafar's case, they have to outwit him as well, and that's what makes a really memorable boss fight. Mid-tier is Millicent. She's a powerful opponent, she's a mighty witch, she turns into a dragon at the end. Dragons are the final boss, is always good. Well, she doesn't really do much, to be honest. She turns up at the start, has a tantrum, and that's it, she bugs off for the rest of the film. But it's not really good for a villain. Almost, okay, not counting the live action film here, it's literally, she doesn't really do much, to be perfectly honest, she's just being a bitch. Right. Generic henchman. Who here who isn't a Disney fan can name that raven? Exactly. It's Diablo, by the way. Yeah. And it's a stereotypical boss fight. I mean, it's always nice to fight a dragon, but it is pretty stereotypical. Right. Shit tier. Who can take a guess at what makes a shit tier roleplay villain in a Disney film?
Gaston!
Oh, you shut your mouth, Gaston! Gaston did nothing wrong! Yeah, that's I'm triggered now. Right. It's Hans. Right, because he's got no build-up. He literally turns to the end, oh, by the way, I'm a villain. Like, the players don't really get a chance to hate him. He's pretty useless, hands down. I mean, like, he can't even smother else a wooden pillow at the end.
Did he get punched by a girl as well?
Yeah. Yeah, and he doesn't really do much for the plot. He turns up, has a song, and that's really it. And he's a pretty flat character. So if you're in a roleplay game and he was the villain, you feel a bit cheated. It's the equivalent of the book that did it. So always give your villains a chance to interact with the players so the players can come to hate them or love to hate them by the end. Speaking of which, on the same subject, NPCs and returning characters. Again, unless you're playing some kind of horror game where everyone's trapped in a location all by themselves, they're going to be interacting with the NPCs. Maybe enemies, shopkeepers, random villagers they're helping. These are the people who make the world come alive. And it's your job to play them all. So, things to do. Make them individuals, because in a way, these are characters as well. They're not so developed as the player characters, but they're there. They have their own likes and dislikes. They have their own motivations. So, you know, are they after the money? Do they just want to keep their family safe? Like, if they're mercenaries, why are they going out adventuring? Make them actual believable people. And make the players love or love to hate them. Like, for instance, I was in a pirate game where we just started out with generic NPC crewmates. But as the game went on, we started to give them names and personalities. And in the end, we had a whole crew full of NPCs that we absolutely loved. They all died horribly in the end. It was kind of my fault. But I stand by it. And again, love to hate them. In one game I ran, we had what was basically Team Rocket in the game. And every time they showed up, the players were like, fucking guys again. And they just loved beating them up and sending them on their way. But things you shouldn't do. Make them flat and boring, like just have the barkeep or the cook, just flat characters, you're not playing the role, you're not doing anything for them, they're just there. Make them stereotypes. Sometimes it can be fun to make them a stereotype, if you've got some kind of Swedish chef going on, or the burly Russian mercenary. But if everyone is a stereotype, it's just boring. Then I do have a Swedish guy in the room, I can't get away with that. Apparently it's quite insulting.
Really good.
And also, don't turn them into a pile of stats. It's really easy to do. And I just saved the place with a mercenary. Oh, send him, hey, he's got like 20 points in strength or whatever. No, don't look at that. Give them a personality. Give them a name. That always helps. If you name something, that's it. You own it. Just don't make them numbers on a paper. Make them individuals. But speaking of NPCs, GM sin number 3, the DMMTC. I hope you appreciate the shit I had to go through a DeviantArt to find a picture like that. I mean, what triggers me the most though is, oh, I've got the arrows the wrong way round. Well, pick some arrows for a quiver like that. The DMNPC, it's a bit of a dirty word with role-playing. It's essentially, it's a player character run by the GM themselves. The problem is that they often tend to be extremely powerful characters who will just like swoop in, beat up the villain with their mighty Masamune, instead of like the son of Sephiroth and Cloud or whatever bullshit. There's some kind of really overpowered character, which defeats the early point. The players are the heroes. I mean, you can have the DM NPC help the players, you know, perhaps like if the party needs a cleric, it's the cleric, but never ever have them overshadow the characters. If they're this mighty powerful character, why aren't they saving the world? Why are the players getting off their asses and adventuring? So never ever have your character be greater than the player characters. Next up, locations. Even if the players are stuck like an underground cavern or some kind of spooky space station somewhere, there's going to be a location for them to explore. So how exactly do you bring these locations to life? Well, use your creativity. I mean, everyone's seen and been to a hidden elf village, but why does it have to be in a forest? Why not have one that's hidden underwater in a cave somewhere? Oh, there's a dwarf fortress. It doesn't have to be under a mountain. It could be under a desert somewhere with a tunnel underneath. Just use your imagination. And use all 5 senses to give them plenty of flavour. When you describe the locations, think it as though you're writing a story. So, say the players have gone into a spooky forest. Don't just say, it's a dark and spooky forest. What can they hear? Like, what can they smell? They can hear noises in the distance as some animal screams in pain and is silent. Or there's the smell of rotted mulch and leaves on the ground that's choking the air around them. There's mist they can hear only whooshing through the trees. The ground feels springy with thought. Just think about all what their characters are sensing through all their 5 senses. And who or what lives there? So if it's a village, like for instance, what are the inhabitants like? Do they like outsiders? Are they suspicious? What's been the history? If it's somewhere like a ruins, are there people living in the ruins? Are there animals? What are they? But also, don't trigger the scientists. Right, going back to that 2nd edition D&D game, where we're exploring a spooky ruin. Open the door, there's a giant lizard, kill the lizard. Next door, it's a rat swarm, kill the rat swarm. Next one, it's a facehugger, kill the facehugger. Next one, it's an ooze. Next one is a zombie. Next one is an ogre. What the hell are all these creatures doing here? So if there's things living there, make sure there's a reason for them to be there. If they're in a tundra, you're not going to have a brash dragon show up, for instance. If you're in a forest, there's not going to be a frost giant. Just make sure whatever's there is realistic to be there. Which leads on to encounters. This is how 90% of my games go, by the way. There's Nazis and everything's on fire. And one of the players is falling in the background, yeah. I say encounters, it doesn't necessarily have to be some kind of fight. It could be just meeting an NPC, having a talk with them, interviewing or interrogating someone, just anything that the players are interacting with. That's all. Make them realistic. So going back to that 2nd edition D&D game, like what the hell is that ogre doing behind that door? There's no reason to be there. Whereas the players are walking through a forest, why has this creature attacked them? Should the creature even be there? Just make sure that it's believable, so otherwise the player can think you're just pulling stuff out of your ass to attack them with. It's not really believable. And then, use them sparingly, unless it's a dungeon crawl. Because if you're always throwing monsters at people, eventually the players are going to make their characters into combat munchkins. So even if, so say a player plays a diplomat, if all you're doing is throwing monsters at them, that character's got to waste, just going to put points in their melee and stuff. And so unless you're playing a dungeon crawl, you only use them every now and again. It also makes them a lot scary if you're not doing it all the time. And also, you can use them as leads. So say the players are a little bit stuck with what to do or anything, you can use them to guide them to the next stage. Perhaps they get chased to the next location by some ravening monster. Perhaps they kill someone and they find a clue on their body. But you can also use them as punishments, which is a lot of fun. So say the players are in a dungeon and they're bickering because they found this magical +1 sword. They're fighting for too long, or monsters attracted by the noise. Perhaps being cocky and messing about with the tracks, oh, something turns up. It's also a good way of encouraging teamwork as well. But also, have non-combat resolutions. Now, not every fight has to be resolved by fighting. So, yeah, believe it or not. So, to use an example, Jurassic Park 3, sorry to bring it up, but, yeah, but the scene where the raptors corner them because they've got the raptor eggs. Now, this seems a role-playing thing. This would be a perfect boss fight, them versus the pack of raptors. But instead, they figure out they give the eggs back, and the situation is resolved without anyone fighting. So, always have a way for the players to resolve the situation. Say they get attacked by a group of orcs, perhaps they could negotiate the orcs, they'd bribe them with gold or something. Perhaps they could make a distraction, scare them away. Like, for instance, in one game I ran, I set up this amazing boss fight for the players with this like spooky space alien things. Yeah, it's going to be really, really good for them. No, they negotiated their way out of it. It's like, you have spent this entire campaign murder hoboing your way across the continent. I give you an actual boss fight and you resolve it. That was you not. Yeah. Put moldy cheese sandwich on things. So always have a way for the players to get out of the situation that doesn't involve punching them. But also bear in mind that somebody could punch them in the face as well, even if you've got a diplomatic one. So, GM commandment number 6. It's okay to lie. Yeah. Sorry, there is no cake at the end of this session, I'm sorry guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Right, now remember at the start of the game about the whole bullshitting thing. You're there to provide a service to the players. So it's okay to lie to them. If they face a monster, you can lie about the monster's stats, keep it hidden, so the players don't suffer too much. If the players roll too low for a roll they really needed to pass, it's okay to lie and say that they did pass to it. Just don't be afraid to lie to your players, because as long as the game is running fine and they're having fun, it's okay. So we've got looting goodies. Look letting. Now, players like shiny stuff. If you think of all the games you've played, there is nothing nice when you finally got enough gold or whatever to buy that bit of equipment you like. And so how do you exactly divide up the loot between your players? You don't give them too much of it. Now, I'm a confession here. I was playing a game of Warhammer Fantasy and I played a halfling merchant, don't judge. And I maxed out my haggling and bartering skills, and I don't think the GM quite realised how much I managed it. So we came into some magical monster parks and said, well, can we sell them? It's like, yeah, go for it. So I took the job of selling it. We were about mid-level adventurers, and I walked away with 500,000 gold pieces on haggling. So we went from swinging around iron swords to having a fortress in the middle of the city, blinged out armour, like the best equipment money can buy. And stuff like that really derails a game quite hard. So don't give them too much because they stop appreciating all the shiny stuff. But again, don't be stingy either, because players like the shiny stuff. It's nice to get a brand new weapon. If you're not giving them the money or the chance to upgrade their weapons, they're just going to be stuck waving these sticks around. It's not much fun for them. But keep artifacts rare or dangerous. I mean, it's really tempting to give these guys magical items and stuff, but it can derail the game a lot. So if you are going to do something magical, give them some kind of drawback to it. So for instance, like, everyone play World of Darkness. Okay. Like, for instance, my players are now trying to play these 7 magical artifacts, and one is a shotgun which deals a massive amount of damage, like horrendous damage. But the drawback is, it sends the players a bit mad. And now the players are like, oh, pardon? Yeah, sure. It is in this game. So you want the players to think, is it worth drawing what it is. But also, keep it balanced. Don't have this seriously groundbreaking artifact or anything with no drawback to it. Don't give the players all these magical artifacts when all they're doing is fighting like level 5 orcs or anything. Try and keep it balanced for the game. Which, funnily enough, leads on to GM sin number 4. The GM's girlfriend. I love this bitch. Look how angry that necklace is in the corner. There's a girl in our gaming crew. Now, it doesn't have to be the GM's girlfriend. It could be the boyfriend, it could be the son, the parent, the brother, the object of obsession, anything. It's the player the GM favours above everybody else. Around the game table, everyone is equal. You should never ever play favourites. If you go back to the 5 traits, it's integrity. The players have to trust that you will treat them all fairly. So like my fiance's in the audience, I know. Yeah, around the game table, I treat him no differently from everyone else. He's still one of the players. I will happily drop rocks on him, and I need to do it more often, to be perfectly honest. But you have no friends at the gaming table, okay? Everyone needs to be treated equal. But funny enough, it goes on to XP! No. Players lie cleverly. As in, for instance, like say D&D, it's really nice. When you hit a new level, you've suddenly got all these new skills and abilities, your stats go up, you're so much better, you get to pick and choose what you're doing.
I brought this paper for 2 minutes.
Oh God, I can't see the numbers, I'm an idiot, I filled it in pen. I have done that once, don't make the mistakes I've made. But again, it's quite common to know how much XP you are actually giving out to your players. So, it's a good thing, in a short game, do it roughly every 2 sessions. Things like good dance, you don't level up per se, but if it's getting enough XP to actually buy stuff. With a long campaign though, try and make it every 3 sessions, because if the players level up too quickly, they're just going to be like punching gods in the face by the 5th session. It's not much fun. But if you don't give them the XP, they're stuck being their peasants with sticks for too long and it's boring. So try and strike a balance. So again, about every 2 or 3 sessions what to aim for. But so what XP to give for? This is the layout I like to use for it. So 1 for turn up, replace 1 with whatever it is in your game. So again, they've turned up, they've gone on the adventure, they get a bit from it. 1 for good roleplay, even if they were shit roleplayers, you might not give them this unless they were absolutely terrible. It just encourages people to roleplay more. 1 for surviving combat, assuming they did go into combat. If they had like a difficult camp, like say they were negotiating, replace it with that. 1 for any cool or useful thing a player did. So if the player managed to save the day somehow, or I don't know, like rescue the princess from the mouth of a dragon with a simple death roll, give them a point for that. And X amount for any significant milestone you achieve. So say they managed to get a cursed artifact, maybe they managed to kill one of the boss's henchmen, maybe they discovered the true name of the spirit they're fighting. Give them how many fears they've achieved this milestone. There's also what I call the play rewards. Now these are ones the players decide how to hand out, and this is the best point of leveling, my players love this. They've got man of the match. So just get your players to vote who's the most useful player of that game. You know, the one who saved the day, who kicked ass, who got them out of a difficult situation. But also, 1 for Emperor's Finest. Now, this I'm thinking because we had a game of Dark Heresy where we're all playing Space Marines, and one guy fucked up every single roll in his game. He tried to climb a fence, failed, rolled his back on a turtle, tried to shoot a gene stealer, missed, tried to shoot it again, his gun blew up. He absolutely failed at everything. But we were crying tears of laughter, and you got bonus XP just for that. So now it's something that we have to in the game. And someone gets a point for being a colossal fuck-all, and whoever made the last was screwed up. It's a nice conversation to play, because usually if you keep failing your rolls, it's frustrating. And it's just a nice reward, and it's also nice to get the players discussing who they want to vote for. So I really recommend doing those 2. Moving on to GM commandment number 7. Don't worry if you forgot. As a GM, it's just one big learning process. You can and you will completely fail at some point. You'll forget to give the players a key point of information. You'll forget that one of the players had an amazing ability which has just completely screwed your encounter. You will forget to do X, Y, and Z, and sometimes the game will just get completely derailed because of it. Don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up too much about it. Again, it's like learning how to write or draw. The more you do it, the more you practice, the better you will get at it. So don't worry too much about it. And if the players cry, that's just an added bonus, to be honest. You get what you get. Now, let's move on to the GM problems and how to murder them. Now, I could spend all day talking about the problems you'll face, so we're just going to go through some of the most common ones. Right, first of all, game stalling. I think some of the forever GMs here will agree with this. Every now and again, the players will not know what to do. They'll miss all the clues you throw at them. They'll be there, they'll fail to pick up all the leads. They'll be getting bored, they'll be getting frustrated, they've got no idea what to do. So in this situation, the best thing to do is to invoke Chandler's Law. If all else fails, have a man burst in with a gun. It doesn't have to be Jesus, but Jesus is pretty good at the situation. Yeah. So let's say, for instance, you're playing Call of Cthulhu, they've not got any leads, they're wandering through the city streets, suddenly a Migo swoops down and attacks them. Or you're playing D&D, you're in the town, you don't know where to go, a Dark Elf assassin then pops out and tries to kill them. And for a start, this revitalises the game. Everyone's jumped into combat, they're ready to fight, the boredom's gone. But you can also use it to get the game back on track. So say they kill the assassin's got a bit of paper on it, there's a contact name on it that you go investigate. Or they kill the Migo that's attacked them. It's got an Eldritch symbol on it, you recognise the symbol from earlier. Again, go back to encounters, use them as leads. This is a really good way to get the players back on track. But there's also unbalanced encounters. Oh my god. Because the players, you have players having different stats, different abilities. It's really hard to balance an encounter. Occasionally you'll throw a monster at them and it's just ripping the players apart. Or you could put them one monster and the players just bitch slap it left, right and centre. So if you have an encounter and it's all going horribly wrong, what can you do? Lie again. Yeah, I've done this before. They've been fighting kind of horrible monster. The monster has mysteriously lost 50 hit points. Or the monster has suddenly gained this ability, this third wing it gets to do. Again, if the players don't know about it, it's the bullshitting again. It's okay to lie. Fudging your dice roll. Some people like to roll their dice out in the open so the players know. But if you're hiding behind the screen, again, it's okay to lie to your players. Like, if the players are dying horribly and it's completely unfair, it's okay to pretend, the monster's missed them or whatever. Yeah, just make sure the players don't find out about it. Again, it goes against the integrity. Or invoke Chandler's Law. So, say they're in a forest and they're being attacked by some horrible forest worm and it's kicking their asses. Perhaps the noise has attracted an even bigger predator who then joins in the fight. Or perhaps if they're fighting a weak enemy, perhaps they call in reinforcements. So just do everything you need to get it all balanced again. Oh, plot derailment. Oh my god. Yeah, you can come up with the most wonderful, structured plot that's the most amazing game ever. The players will ignore that plot. They will just go off and do their own thing. Like, for instance, I ran one game, the players went to a city, and it's a fairly rough city, and they got a bit roughed up by the guards while they were there. The guard made the offhand comment, oh yeah, we've just got a drug problem, we're just checking you for drugs. Like, nothing to do with it, just a comment, just to show, oh, it's a terrible place. The players took it upon themselves to go and smash this drug ring. There was no drug ring, there was never intended to be a drug ring. They said, no, we're going to clean up this city. So like, all I got bunched up, thrown out the window, and I had to come up with stuff on the fly. So what do? You deal with it. And again, going back to the railroading, you can't say, oh no, just ignore that, we're going to do this part, that I've done. No, you've got to be able to roll with it and just do what the players are doing. Or find a way to use your planned path. So say you intended your players to go to the bar to meet contact, they decided, no, we're just going to go to the marina instead. Have the contact meet at the marina, for instance, instead. Perhaps they had to witness a shady deal in the back alley. Perhaps the shady deal's going on at the party they decided to go to instead. But also, have emergency backups. Like, if you know your players and you know they're probably going to take option Z at some point, have an idea, have a worst case scenario guide. Like, what if the players go do this? Just little stuff you can just throw in. Failing or else, cry. You cry a lot as a GM, oh my god. Yeah, but don't be afraid as well to admit to the players that pull the rug from under your feet. If you need to take 10 minutes to just leave and try and sort things out, just admit it, feel free to. So But like, again, going with the boss fight and negotiating the way out of, I don't openly admit to my players, I have no idea what to do for the rest of the session. I was not intending you guys to resolve this beforehand. So just, if they do break the game, don't be afraid to admit it, and then you just need to take a break. Next up, extra splat. This is basically the term for just all the expanded rule books. As you tell things like D&D, there is a lot of them. Now, this tends to be a problem because if you're playing the system, usually one player will have a lot more books than the other, and they will generally like to use skills or abilities or character classes from those books. And for the other players, it can be really frustrating. It's like, oh, I'm playing a fighter, I'm playing a wizard, oh, I'm playing a sword mage from the Book of Weeaboo Fighting Magic or whatever. Or players are coming out with these abilities that everyone else doesn't have. So first of all, set limits on what books can be used. So for instance, I'm playing a World of Darkness game, and one of the other players is a big fan of it, so he has a lot of the expansions. So he wanted to use a lot of the abilities that the other players didn't have access to. So I'd put my foot down and say, no, we're only playing from these books that everyone has access to. Again, go to integrity, it's just treating everyone fairly. But tell players to book up if they want. Oh, if you tell the player they can't use their sparkly, overly powered character, they will bitch and they will whine. But again, your job is to make sure everyone has fun. Put your foot down. If you're saying we are only using these books, you are only using these books. You are the games master. Finally, character dare. Yeah, who recognises what this is from? Yeah, for those who don't know, it's Chick Track, this crazy Christian comic series, and he did one about the evils of D&D, where TLDR gives you amazing mind control powers, and you kill yourself when your character dies. So I think the whole room is dead, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, characters will die. I mean, you can go out your way to try and avoid it, but eventually someone is going to die, either because of you, or generally because they're an idiot. So, yeah, usually, yeah, because I ran one game where one of the players decided to use an experimental jetpack, despite having no skills in it, and we did the maths, he hit the ground face first at 172 miles an hour. It's like, yeah, you can't do anything about that. First of all, don't make it cheap, unless you're playing some kind of Game of Thrones game, in which case, feel free to kill everyone. But if you're treated death as cheap in this game, if players are dying left, right and centre, they're not going to care about their characters. What's the point of getting invested in the counter if they're probably going to die in the next session? So try and keep death rare, but a constant threat. And don't be mean. It's really horrible when someone's character dies. And even if it is a funny death, laugh about it, but don't be mean about it. Don't like have them fall to the death and then be torn apart by wild dogs and kobolds piss on their corpse or anything. Just don't be mean about it. Also, don't base it on a single dice roll, because this is really irritating, because all it comes down to is chance. So, say your character is jumping over a gorge, they fail their roll, they don't fall to the death, that is it. Perhaps give them a roll so they can grab onto a ledge on the way down, or grab onto a vine. If they fail, perhaps they just end like home sin to go bang, bang, bang all the way down. Give them another chance to grab safety. But if they keep failing and failing, of course they're going to die. But don't base it on a single die roll. If your character dies just to chance, where's the fun in that? Again, unless it's unavoidable, give the players a chance to save themselves. One thing I like to do is what's called a turn of grace. So unless the character has literally exploded or something violent, if they reach 0 or whatever it is death, they have a turn of grace. So they're not instantly dead, they have one turn to do something. So the other players could save them, perhaps they could gasp out a dying love confession, whatever, but always give the players a chance to save themselves. Again, unless they like messily explode, as has happened in my game multiple times. And in a campaign, give it meaning. So say for instance they get killed by the final boss, perhaps in like players, that gives them incentive to go and fight for revenge. If there were a cleric in a town or something, perhaps the town in the morning, perhaps they decide to take up arms against it. Try and work this death into your plot somehow. But also, don't let the player remake the character. This is a really common thing. They've made this awesome sword mage or whatever. The character dies, their new character is suspiciously exactly like the old one. Yeah. We had one guy in our gaming group who, whatever he played, would always play caboose. Like from, what's it, Red and Blue? Every single time, yeah. If he died, he'd just show up again. Put your foot down, make them play a different class or a different character. Just don't let them remake it. Oh, speaking of which, problem players and how to not murder them. Remember when Penny Arcade used to be good? And we've got another video clip to illustrate the first one.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
An ambush? I'm an elf. I shouldn't have missed the ambush.
So you're taken by surprise.
Well, why didn't I get a surprise roll?
I rolled for you. You failed.
Still, I have the detect ambush skill. Dude, I'm on a roll.
Dude, you were surprised.
No. With detect ambush, I get an automatic check, even in a surprise situation.
Yes, but to get that check, you have to say that you're looking for an ambush.
I always expect an
You
ambush.
don't always expect an ambush. You have to never sleep.
Well, that's beside the point. I would naturally expect an ambush in an unfamiliar forest. Dude, I want my challenge.
You weren't expecting the ambush when you entered the forest, therefore I roll that you were taken by surprise. Can I continue now?
Yeah.
I hate these guys, rules lawyers. These are the ones that you say something happens as a GM and they pop up, oh, the rules say this happens instead. Or the fighting a monster. Oh, hang on, the rules say it's got X, Y, Z ability. Oh, they are the absolute worst. So how do you deal with them? Put your foot down. Remember, you are the games master. You can override the rules if you want to. And make it clear that the fun overrides the rules. But be fair about it. The main reason rules lawyers have a stick up their asses is that they think if you're just overriding the rules as you see fit, how can they trust you if you're just going to pull rules out of the air? But at the end of the day, fun overrides everything. Don't argue with the rules lawyer. You are the games master. They do need to respect you for that. Next up, the shy player. Now, I find this is usually someone who's been invited to the group by, say, their boyfriend or their girlfriend or whatnot, and they sit there. You're there being the GM. You're into the place. And they don't say anything. They're just sitting there. They occasionally mumble, say yes, no. And you sit there like, are they actually having fun? And it's really quite intimidating. So how do you deal with a scared player? Well, speak to them out of the game. Make sure they are actually enjoying the game. I found a lot of shy players, they are enjoying the game. They just prefer to just sit there and listen and take it in. And if they're not enjoying the game, find out what they're not enjoying, see if you can help them. But also, involve them in the game. Sometimes they just feel a bit intimidated by the other players, especially if you've got experienced role players, where they're jumping in, declaring their actions, and they feel like perhaps maybe they don't want to risk doing something wrong. So just involve them. So if the players are discussing where they want to go, just say, oh, well, where exactly do you want to go? What's your opinion on this? Have an NPC ask them about something. So again, give them minor responsibilities. So say they're being the cleric, for instance, and there's just been a battle, have them go out and help people. If they're the thief, just have them go and pick some pockets just to get into the place some money. Just give them little things to build up their confidence. But don't push them. I know a lot of people think sink or swim, just force them in the deep end. That is the worst thing you can do. For instance, my best friend is sitting in the audience, and I'm not going to point her out because she will die. And she's the stereotypical shy player in this. She helped me with the presentation. I just ran it through her so she could have her opinion on it, and she helped me with clips. That was good. But if I got her up here to read the slides, she would die of embarrassment. So if you have the shy players, don't force them to make major decisions, because again, they're here to have fun. If you just turn them to a deer in headlights, they're really not going to like it. Next up, technophiles. I did have a video clip here. I had a video clip of this, but I couldn't find one which didn't have Terry Wogan's commentary over the top of it. And I don't think you'd appreciate that, so yeah, sorry guys. Right, again, I hate these. These are the people who are there. You're playing your game, you look up, they're there on their mobile phone, or they're there on the tablet or their PC, they're just tapping away, and they're not paying attention to you. Again, it's really disrespectful as a GM. You've got to all set to run a game and they're not paying attention. The problem is a lot of the players will say, oh, well, I've got the rule book on PDF, I'm just checking. But it's like, you're not there stuck to the book, you're here to play a game. So how do you deal with them? Tell them to knock it off. Just actually speak to them, say, guys, can you just put your game out and just play the game? Just like, please just pay attention, because sometimes they don't realise they're doing it. Again, speak to them out of game. Just tell them politely, look, guys, I'm trying to run a game, and I just find it really disheartening when you're there talking on Facebook or whatever. You know, could you please just like try and contact me just to help me out? But you can also make it into a game. Because I know someone who, at dinner time, they got fed up with their family using their mobile phones, so they stacked them in the middle. The first person to check their phone did the washing up. So again, you can work this into your game. The first person to pick it up goes and buys a pizza. It's a bit difficult if you're playing with, I say grown-ups, like older people who do have like responsibilities and stuff. But really, the best thing you can do, just speak to them, just tell them, you know, guys, please stop it. But on the other side to the shy players, we've got another video clip, blast from the past.
We'll be in trouble if we don't take them down quick. Thanks for your plan. We should have pulled off this time. What do you think of it? Can you give me a number crunch real quick?
Yeah, give me a sec. I'm coming up with 32.33, repeating, of course, percentage of survival.
That's a lot better than we usually do. Alright, ready, guys?
And we got it just right in.
Stick and clean, Archie.
Let's go.
Stick to the plan, Joe. Stick to the plan. Archie, oh fuck. Keep the night intervention.
Chaotic stupid. Yeah. These are the guys who think a role-playing game is a video game. So you'll give them a plot and they'll just rush it over it. They have an audience for the king. They're like, oh, I'm going to shoot the king and then make out the princess. Or they're just there, the murder hobo in the way out of it. Every time they meet an NPC, they kill them, they loot the corpse, they break the body, whatever. Yeah, most of the time they think they're being funny. They are not. So how do you do them? Speak to them out of game. Again, a lot of people go, it's a way to transfer the game, because they think it's like a video game. Just tell them, it's not, it's a collaborative story thing. You know, you've got to work together, guys. Don't just mess around like you're playing Skyrim or something. And call them out on it. If they're doing stupid shit in the game, actually say in the game, what are you doing? Because a lot of time, I say it's like social embarrassment. Some of them don't realise they're being stupid. They realise they are wrecking the game. And make them face the consequences. So let's just say you're in a town, they're murder hoboing everywhere. Have the town guard show up. If they're backstabbing the other players, have the other players deal with it. But again, I was in one game and we had this guy playing Fire Mage who was an absolute dick to everyone. And the final straw came when he abandoned us all in a demon-infested swamp. So we thought, right, we're not going up with this. So the apothecary came up with an extremely flammable potion and mixed it with a healing salve. And so we put it on the wizard to heal him. Next time he cast a fire spell, he burst into flames. He bitched about it, but we pointed out to him, well, everything you've done to us in the game, our characters have a reason to do this. So don't let them run roughshod over your game. Make them face the consequences for their actions. And speaking of which, stupid characters. I have no idea what this is from, but I really like it. These are the players who make characters that absolutely do not fit the setting. So they decided to put up with a half angel, half fox necked Jin, whose parents were killed by orcs, and it's like the daughter of Sephiroth or whatever, and they're playing Call of Cthulhu. And again, going back to the people who remake their characters, it's the people who play the same character every single time, no matter what the setting is. There'll always be someone who wants to be a special snowflake. So, what do? Put your foot down. If you're playing, like D&D for instance, as someone wants to play like a Call of Cthulhu investigator who's fallen in from the modern world and stuff that doesn't fit, say they can't do it. If someone wants to play some kind of magical fox shapeshifter or something, and you're playing a serious grounded game, tell them they can't do it. Again, remember, you're the GM, you're there to make sure everyone has fun. If somebody's going to derail the game, step in, tell them they can't do it. And again, speak to them out of game, just let them know, guys, you know, your character isn't really fitting, it's going to be difficult for me to run, it's going to be difficult for the other players. Do you mind if, like, perhaps you play something else? Players can be quite reasonable. If you speak to them and they realise that there's a problem which they didn't know before, it can help. But if all else fails, have them face the consequences again. If they're playing a special snowflake character, they're going to have to deal with it. Perhaps, you know, they have suspicion wherever they go, people won't serve them in bars. Perhaps, I mean, people want to kill them for their pelts or whatever. But don't derail the game for their sakes. Don't build the entire game world around this one character being a special snowflake. Again, you're there for the enjoyment of everyone. Which leads then to the conclusion.
That's it! That's it! Lame! That was the stupidest game ever! You know nothing about the monsters and mazes! I am the true game master! Right, guys?
Yeah, that was a fun game. That was
great!
As I said, it's hard work being the GM, but the main thing is that as long as the players are having fun, you cannot fuck up. As long as you look up at your screen and you see people have smiles on their faces, you've done good. So here's a quote from Gary Gygax, the father of gaming. You are not entering this world in the usual manner, for you are setting forth to be the DM. Certainly there are stout fighters, mighty magic users, wily thieves and courageous clerics who have made their mark in the magical lands of D&D. You, however, are above the greatest of these, for as a DM, you are to become the shaper of the cosmos. It is you who will give form and content to all of the universe. You will breathe life into the stillness, give meaning and purpose to all the actions which are to follow. I said, essentially, you are the god of... I'm not done yet. Was that sarcastic?
Quote.
Yeah. In all fact, by one perspective, Gygax wasn't a very good GM, but he is the reason we're all here, so we have to give him credit for it. I said, so you are the god of this world. You have a lot on your plate as a GM. You're there, you've got to build the world, you've got to referee the system. It is hard work, hands down, and you will cry behind your GM screen more times than you realise. As I said, it is a hard job, but it will make you hate yourself and your friends. But it really is the best job in the world. There is no better feeling than when you've run a game and afterwards the players are thinking, oh God, do you remember that bit? Oh, that was brilliant, and they can't wait to sort out the next game. So yes, you will hate yourself, you will cry, you will wonder what the hell are you doing, why are you hanging around with these people, how can you mow them down in your car? But when it all works, you wonder why don't you play in the first place. You know, BGM is the best thing ever. And so we'll conclude then with a Q&A. I'm not lucky to GM. So has anyone got any questions about things going on? Any horror stories they want to share? Any tips they've discovered or anything? Yeah?
I've got a little tip for this. But first, what do you do for names?
What, you mean play names?
Names. You go through a disaster scenario where the players come into a marketplace.
Yeah.
There are about 25 people there, and someone says, I want to go around each and every individual one of them and ask their name.
My players in the audience are giving me a look here because they know exactly what I do. But one thing I find really handy is just to get a list of generic stock names. So say you're in an area that's like, I don't know, Uber or something German, just get like a list of German names. Or just come up with one five. Like for instance, in one of my campaigns called Nonsense and Villains, the players went and met a captain I wasn't intending to. So I'm like, shit, what do I do? So I just pulled up a name of one of the other friends. So again, just Google, just get a list of names that can help. But the reason my players are looking at me is because I ran a game where they met up with two soldiers called Hans and Fritz. Just pulled out the air Hans and Fritz. And a few sessions later, they met up with more people called Hans and Fritz, which I completely forgotten about. They were like, hang on a minute, did we meet these guys earlier? Did we kill these guys earlier? So now it's become a running gag that every game that involves Germans, there's someone called Hans and Fritz in. But no, the best thing to do is, if you think it's going to be a lot of NPCs, just look on Google or Wikipedia, just get a list of names that sound quite appropriate, and just glance up on there for it.
So I was going to say, I have a tip.
Yeah.
Sports.
Yeah.
Pick a sport, any sport, handball, canoeing, and find their world rankings.
Yeah.
Go down about 1,000. Between like 1,000 and 2,000. Look through it, see what names you like. Take them. No one will have heard of them. The 1,030th, 1,200th badminton player in the world. It'll be someone from Germany or Argentina or wherever that no one's heard of. They won't worry about you stealing. Hold on. I've heard of that guy.
One thing I find quite nice for important NPCs is to get a name that sort of reflects what they're doing. So like I had a merchant character who really helped out the players. So I just got the name of the guy who wrote this really important book on commerce. Of course, players never heard of it, but it sounded like quite a nice, beefy name. It is a problem if the players realise this and they call you out on it. But again, just get something obscure and you can get away with it. Most players will let you roll with it anyway, so...
There's name generators on the internet as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just refresh it till you get something nice. So.
If I name Take It, I had a character who, I called him Cotman Cray. Turned out it was with a whole bunch of people who were fans of Phase Zero. Cotman Kiri, that's the villain in Phase Zero.
Oh yeah, speaking of
it is.
Speaking of nothing as well, don't be afraid to steal stuff from other sources. It's not plagiarism if you get it from multiple sources, and it's not plagiarism if the players don't know about it. That includes names and plot. So has anyone seen a British horror film called The Awakening? None of my players had either. So I just ripped that plot and did it as a Call of Cthulhu game, and the players loved it. One of my favourite games I ran, I ripped off from a National Geographic article about the economy of Greenland. I turned it into a horror game about Vikings. But no, get inspiration from everywhere. If you see a good plot point in a film or somewhere, you steal that shit. Again, just don't make it too obvious, because the players suddenly realise they're playing with the plot of Final Fantasy VII. They're going to call you out and they're going to laugh at it. Like, for instance, in Border Darkness, they did an expansion book about playing games in the UK. Complete shit, don't bother with it. But at one point, there's creatures in it who are the Wombles. So there's no way you can run it in a British game, because everyone's going to realise it's just a copy of the Wombles. Again, so if you read a plot or a book, or you find a character you really like, you just steal it, just put it in the game. Right? Yeah?
Your best villain and why?
I am not the villain, right? Yeah. Actually, the one I am really fond of is when I was at uni, I just mentioned to my players, man, Paper Mystery would be really good as a roleplay game, wouldn't it? So I got bullied into running a campaign of it. And so the players were sent to investigate this mysterious events happening on this other continent, and drop hints that, oh, it was something that shouldn't exist in this world, blah, blah, blah. So the players, being metagaming bastards, like, oh, it's going to be Giratino, oh, you know, we've got to have all these dark type moves, blah, blah, blah. They got right to the very end of the session expecting, oh, Giratino's like the big ghost dragon, by the way, getting right, expecting this otherworldly dragon. It turned out to be missing, though. It was literally this monstrous chaos hell eldritch abomination. And literally the place was sitting there like, what the fuck is this? Well, it was an amazing boss fight, and I just looked at that and the players spent this whole campaign thinking, yeah, it's going to be this really big ghost dragon. And it just turned out to be this eldritch storm, which was ripping reality apart from its own presence. So yeah, I really loved that guy. So yeah, I think that was my favourite one in the end. So yeah.
How much of the world do you like write down and map out in advance?
But it depends. Well, if you're playing something that already has a specific, like Lord of the Rings, you've got it all done. But well, you mean just like sort of like generic fantasy, like D&D or like real world stuff? Oh God, no! You do that, and the players won't go on with it. Yeah, they'll just ignore it. The main thing to do is just get like the main location. So say they've come to a new city, for instance. Just think, what were the key points in the city that I go to? Perhaps they're going to go to a club. Oh, they'll go to the Vampire's Haven. So just think of these key locations, and then think, well, what's going to be in the locations? What NPCs will be there? Just get a rough idea. It's one nice thing to have is like what essentially is a pool of NPCs. So sort of the ones you can apply to different locations. So like, just say you've got a generic bouncer, perhaps he could be at the bar they go investigate, or perhaps he could be at the club they go investigate. So it's nice to just have a rough idea of the area where they are, and just build up a few locations you can mix and match with each other. Again, don't bother with doing plans unless it's really important. So for instance, like, my last session I ran was set in a spooky abandoned Soviet bunker. Again, floor plans were quite important next. The players had to know where to go, whether they're being chosen by the spooky spirits and stuff. But if they're just exploring a city, you don't need to draw out the city block. There's no point to it. So again, if you're doing a game that's about investigating and stuff, it's nice to have building plans, but as a whole, you don't really need it. Just have the basics and bullshit the rest of it. Yeah. Yes? Yeah?
What was your first game like when you were a GM? Because I wanted to be a GM like at some games, but I'm kind of scared to do it in the first place because I'm worried I'm gonna fuck up.
Yeah. Fear is the main thing you'll feel as a GM. Don't worry about that. Well, the first game I had run, I was about 14 years old, and doing it the old pots here, remember Fighting Fantasy, the book series, yes. And it was basically choose your own adventure walks, and they didn't expect we could run the games. So I would love to do this. So I wrote in some of the boys from my class at school, who, with hindsight, were more interested in playing football. And it was a mess of a game, and thinking back on it now, I was a complete shit GM. So like, at one point there was a monster they couldn't beat unless they got a specific item from a hidden room earlier on. But then I didn't properly GM until about like 10 years later when I was at uni. And again, I just said to the players, do you mind if I run a game? And they jumped in. But again, don't be scared if you fuck up. If you want to run a game, just say to the players, will you let me run a game for you? Just run a one-off, just do a simple adventure. Like most role-play books will have like a scenario at the back, just a little session. Just try running just a simple one. I mean, it is really scary to get behind the screen for the first time, and you are conscious of how badly you're screwing things up. But seriously, just don't worry about it. It's like learning how to ride a bike. It will fall off a few times. But once you've got the hang of it, it is a lot of fun. So I really recommend, just give it a go. Yeah. I think your plays will be nice. I'm sure they will. Yeah.
I'd just like to add to that.
Yeah.
Reading through an adventure beforehand, seeing how it's been put together, and just going over it until you know it yourself, just makes the world of difference for the first time you learn from other people. If you're feeling fear, the trick is how can I make my players feel exactly the same? If your players fear opening that door, you can walk away happy. That's my philosophy.
Actually, that's a really good one to make because I tend to run horror games, mostly accidental. It just is how I ran a Red Dwarf game. We started veering into horror territory really quick. It just kind of happens. And if you do actually want to run a horror game, the best way to scare the players is to let the players do it themselves. So the time I've managed to scare my players most of all is when they were hiding out in the news agents and the power cut out. It was completely innocent, it's just the power had just gone out. And they shat themselves. So they literally barricaded the whole building, got the guns, right, can I make a perception test? They rolled really high. You don't see anything. Oh my god, it must be something really powerful. Yeah, and there was a noise outside, it was just a fox outside, they blasted it. And literally I was like, can we make a perception check? You don't see anything. Oh my god, I'm completely freaking out. Morning came around, the place absolutely ragged. It's like, what's the scary thing? There wasn't anything. Because if you think to the horror films you've watched, it's always scary when you never see the monster. As soon as the monster appears on the screen, that's it, the fear is gone. It's the unknown, because you can't make anything scarier than what players can imagine. So like that bunker session I just mentioned I ran, there was a number station which they managed to find that just counted down from 10 to 1 in Russian. Completely innocent, it's just a number station. In the player's head, they turned it to a countdown to their demise. And when it all got completely foodborne at the end, and they realised they set up a base self-destruct mechanism, one of the players tried to call for help, and all he got was the number station. I reduced him to a crying wreck. So if you are running a horror game, don't have all the scary beasties or stuff. Just let the players scare themselves, because there is no better way of scaring them than let their imagination run away with them. Girls? Yeah.
Tips for handling things that happen to particular player characters that you don't want the other player characters to know about. So I found one once where one of them got an artifact which manipulated their statistics. It meant that they wouldn't want to give that artifact up. So I had to sort of sneakily pass them a note. Say, you got this and it's raised your stats by this, but don't tell the other players about it, that kind of thing.
Well, there's several ways you can do it. One is that if it's not critically important to the game right now, you can just speak to them out of game, like private, like phone call with them, just explain them about it. if you are going to be doing this stuff in-game, if you hand the note to players, they know something's up.
Exactly, yeah.
So the best thing to do is to hand notes to everyone. Some of it can just be like something completely innocent, and you think, oh, that player keeps like looking a bit suspicious at so-and-so, so completely innocent. But it's so they don't realise they haven't done note. So you're still passing the correct information to the player, but no one knows they're the player that's had this specific information. Everyone's got something else, and it just makes them all a little bit paranoid as well. So again, if you run a game online, though, it's really easy, just send private messages. But around the table, pass notes, or occasionally just take people into the next room to speak about it, but do it for innocent reasons as well, so no one suspects you're up to something. And it's the swan. You're kicking your feet, but no one knows. Yeah?
Okay, briefly, you mentioned that these days private messaging is perfect for that. Just have, as long as just ask everyone, do you have phones? And then have your own phone and have private messaging. It's perfect. You don't have to bother with paper. It's wonderful. It's not perfect because you still have to be typing back and forth, but it's a great alternative.
Yeah, so again, one problem as well, if you do with text messages, sometimes it's really obvious you type something out and then the next play's phone pings. So if you do that, make sure everyone's got all their notifications turned off. It's not obvious.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing with those notes and or the phone is you can have the notes pre-arranged in advance. If you know what the plot's going to be and you want them to tick something off, you can have the notes ready. And then when they do something, you hand everyone the note or whatever, or just tap send on your phone. And you won't have to be like sat there for a minute going, hold on 1 minute, guys.
Yeah, again. Yeah, because going back to like, knowing the rules thing, having to go back and check, actually having them written out beforehand, it stops you having to keep breaking the game or breaking up the action. I mean, it is nice every now and again just have a quick 10-minute break, but you don't want to be stopping the game constantly just to scribble something out or just speak to another player. So again, organisation, the more you do beforehand, the better your game is going to flow. Yep.
Yes. Thinking about the other thing with plot derivatives that you mentioned earlier, is there not kind of come a point where what the players are trying to do is run so sort of counter to the intended plot of the game that you stop improvising to accommodate whatever they want to do, and instead either just sort of say, guys, like, don't do that, something stupid, or sort of just throw up some sort of insurmountable obstacles that they're kind of forced to kind of get back on track. Like, how, does that not happen in the kind of games you run?
Okay, I try and avoid it, so again it's like railroading. So like if the players went to go on this drug bust, of course the drug bust didn't exist, so they'd spend all this session messing around trying to find drug dealers which didn't exist, and all you're going to end up with is frustrated players who either think that they can't do anything, they can't find these drug dealers, and they've just wasted an entire session. So it's nice to steer them back on the correct track, but you just put a brick wall in front of them that says, no, thou shalt not do this. So again, if you can create the illusion that their path is going in the direction they want it to, but you're just steering them back, that's good. But don't put your foot down and say, no, this is not going to happen. You've taken away the player's free will. And if they're not being heroes, if they're not choosing the adventure, they're just sitting there passively while you tell a story. And that is not fun for anyone, to be honest. So it's okay to put your hands in and admit, guys, like, you've derailed the game, I don't know where we're going. That's okay. The players might say, yeah, we'll just go back. But don't be mean about it. Don't just say, no, you're not doing this.
But I guess it's more like when it sort of seems to be down to sort of a genuine misunderstanding, and they think they are pursuing genuine leads, but actually you're just going further and further off the plot. Is it not okay at some point sort of subtly, or not so subtly indicate that this is not the kind of collaborative story that we're actually meant to be?
More investigations, like have that investigations angle, like just keep throwing clues that are more blatant until they can't ignore them.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest phrase you can use as a GM to control your players is, are you sure you want to do that? So if they say, oh, we want to go to wherever we don't want to, just say, are you sure you want to do that? And it's a great way of sowing paranoia with them, and usually scare them onto the right track. But again, it takes a lot of skill as a GM if they go off the rails to either get it back on track or to come up a whole new adventure for them. Again, it's a pretty advanced GM skill, and you shouldn't be afraid to admit to your players, you've just completely screwed up, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. You've got the reputation of being evil GM somehow. Just smile. Yeah. Oh yeah, another good paranoia tip, by the way. So if the players are just doing whatever it is, every now and again just roll some dice behind the GM screen. You're not rolling for anything. Just roll the dice and just carry on as normal. Yeah. I don't know why people think I'm an evil GM. I don't know where they got this idea. So,
one thing is, well, on the other hand, because attacking players get a bit suspicious when you roll dice. Something I've done sometimes is roll dice before the session, write down the numbers. So if they're doing spot checks or whatever, if they don't notice something, if you're rolling dice, they'll be suspicious. They'll think there's something after them. So if you roll in advance, then they're not expecting it. So they won't be suspicious. They're looking out for something after them. If you roll in roll, because you're not rolling for time.
Or I use an online one.
That is a good one. Yep, guy in blue.
When you've said about being a team of consequences, what's been your favourite moment of that?
In all fairness, I've had to do this quite a lot of the players. Like for instance, like in the book game, I've got the TODR. One of the players was a werewolf in there as well, and one of the players had to get to the bottom of it to turn on something. And the werewolf was outside. I was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was fully expecting it to climb into the air then. It's like, I'm going to run. And it's like, you are? It's like, I'm just going to run past the werewolf and go up the stairs. I was like, are you really sure you want to do that? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. It's fine, it's fine. So, okay, so roll for a chase. Right, werewolf, what's your athletics? Oh, I've got like 9 dice in it. I look at it, okay, what's your dice? I've got 2. Alright, and do you want to outrun the werewolf? And he's like, yeah, I'll be fine. He wasn't fine. Yeah. And again, the guy with the experimental jetpack hitting the ground at 172 miles an hour. I did say to him, look, you've got no points in it. It's an experimental jetpack. Like, it barely works anyway. Do you want to do it? Yeah, I do. No, are you sure you want to do it? It's not going to work. I'll be fine, I'll be fine. No. Oh my God, no. Yeah, hang on. Yep.
With regards to that, sometimes you find that a lot of new players, because they don't know what they're doing, they'll be like, can I do that like with the jetpack or what have you? I had a new player recently start Dark Heresy, and he was 4 floors up in a perfect sniping position with a hunting rifle, with perfect view of all the bad guys, and he said to me, can I leap down?
Oh God.
I went, well, if you like. And he went, okay, then I'll leap down. I said, roll for damage. And he went, what? I've got really high agility. I went, well, 4 floors up. So I think the main point to think that with that is that if they're a new player, just a little bit easier on them. So I only broke his ankle.
What happened to the character?
He was unconscious and everybody else got shot, so it was fine.
Yeah, with new players, give them a bit of leeway, because they tend to go in 2 ways. They either like the shy player, they're not sure what they can do, or they go mad with power, and they think they can do everything. So again, don't be afraid to just I say knock them into place, just steer them gently, just explain things to them. Like, for example, one Dark Heresy game we played, the characters all met each other, so alright, let's introduce ourselves. One of the players just went, hi, I'm the assassin. It's like, yeah, you didn't live that one down either. So yeah, so be gentle with new characters, new players, don't be too mean on them. If you're introducing them to the hobby, you want them to have fun. Don't outright murder them or punish them too harshly for the mistakes. Yeah. Wrap the stick in velvet before you beat them with it. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Well, it really is well, first off, look at what sort of genre you're comfortable with. So, if you're really into fantasy, you're really into sci-fi. If there's one that's based on a world you like say the Discworld one, for instance, you might have to look at that. Personally, I find a really nice system for introducing people is World of Darkness, because essentially for every action, you've got your attributes, which are strength, intelligence, dexterity, whatever, and you've got your attributes, so computer skills, animal care, drive. So every time you want to take an action, you just add one attribute to one stat. Say you want to hack a computer, you just add intelligence computer. If you want to smooth talk your way past someone, you might roll socialise persuasion, something like that. So it's quite easy to pick up, and they've just released 2nd edition, which I think you can get for free or really cheap. But again, there are lots of really easy systems to pick up. So yeah, if you want to work with me afterwards, talk about some system of you might find one that really takes your interest. Yep. Yep.
What's the most fun you've had with the regular characters and messes with the party? Is entertaining to play?
Oh, right. That Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game I ran. Right. Yeah, you know where this is going, yeah. Right, in the very first session, the players had to get across a bridge, and they got attacked. Yeah. and they got attacked by a swarm of Beedrill. Which, if you're not familiar with Pokemon, it's like a large beak with giant drills on its hands. And one of the players decided to jump on the back of the Beedrill, grab its antennae to steer it away. Yeah. Yeah, and he managed to snap off the antennae, which essentially crippled this Beedrill. And he's like, oh my god, I'm a monster and everything. And then in the next session, they went to a town, and they found the Beedrill there begging, holding up a sign saying, please help wife and 5 Weedles. Every time they went to a town, the Beedrill was there. So they became a wife and 20 Weedle to support, then a wife and 50 Weedle to support. They went to another continent and the Beedrill was there again. At the very end of the session, there was something about a space station I won't go into. They looked in through a telescope, the Beedrill was on it. And this player is getting more and more annoyed every time this Beedrill is here. All the players loved it, they were laughing their ass off. And then ages later, the place wanted another one, so I ran one that was like set 500 years after the original adventure. This Beedrill had been elevated to a god and had a cult based on it, the Great Maned one. And the player, the original guy who crippled him was there, was like, I absolutely hate you. And so I think he's definitely one of my favourite NPCs, this poor thing Beedrill, so... Yeah.
What's your opinion on mixing alcohol and roleplay? I've seen it both ways. People who banned alcohol, people who wouldn't roleplay without alcohol.
I said, yeah. Well, fortunately, I haven't had any alcohol completely wasted at the table. Really. It depends. If you have one player who's drunk, it can get really derailed because they're doing all the stupid shit. If everyone is a bit merry, that's kind of okay. Because one of my friends was ran a game where everyone was completely drunk and probably some illicit substances as well. And the wizards were doing stuff like casting yellow spells. It's like, what the hell is a yellow spell? I don't know, I thought it was funny at the time. So, after all, I say basically, just be responsible adults. You can drink at the table, but don't get pissed. Go off to a Keatacon if you want to get pissed. If you're on the gaming table, just drink responsibly. Don't drink in game. Yes. Yeah, I have many reasons to hate Jack. You're not allowed to play him anymore. Jack is one of his own characters he's this biker guy who managed to break every single game. He was the one who punched out the bouncer. At one point I was trying to introduce my players to the concept of diplomacy in games. So I had them face this giant hook, like if you play Word of Darkness, a Guru werewolf, which is like a big powerful monster to show, look, you can't fight your way out of every situation, use diplomacy. No, punched him in the solid face again, he had to roll to stay conscious. That's like one of the many sins, so yeah, I hate him. You're not allowed to play him anymore. GM feared. Yeah?
Have you ever had one of your players, I don't know if anyone was familiar with the term, but any of your players ever Old Man Henderson?
Yeah, do you want to explain to the class about Old Man Henderson?
Well, as I remember the details of it, it was a Call of Cthulhu game, and the GM, was it the GM who was being a bit of a knob?
Yeah. Yes, the GM
was being a knob. So the player ended up making a character who was so bizarre that it ended up derailing the whole plot. And I don't remember the details of it, but
if you want to, if you want to
It ends
Google
with
the whole Henson story, it's well worth reading. And saying that though, I have actually had plays with Call of Cthulhu.
Yes.
I don't know how that's possible because that Awakening game I told you I ripped off. Basically, the place got called to a boarding school in the 1920s, and the kids were saying it was haunted, and then one of the boys had died, and the boys were saying it was the ghost that killed them. So they had to go and investigate. And TLDR, Elder God under the school that's about to wake up, and the ghost was trying to scare people away to stop the what was it Eldon, the thing that possesses people worms. Yeah, something like that. Right. So basically, things have got absolutely fucked up. This Elder God had woken beneath the school. And he possessed one of the player characters, who was the policeman, who got everybody to go into the gymnasium for this big sacrifice. Of course, everyone believed he's the policeman, what you do. So all the school kids, all the staff were there, apart from the reporter and the private eye, who decided, no, everything is fucked. And everyone started bursting into these worms everywhere. So they turned on all the gas taps in the school, set the whole place on fire, and ran the hell out of there as the whole school erupted. All the player characters died, all the children died, all the staff died. So all the police came up, and I'm like, right, I've got them now, they're going to be hungers, mass murderers. No, they collaborated their story, blamed it all on the policemen who had died. All the eldritch tombs they collected earlier, they used as evidence to back up their story. They made themselves into heroes who tried to save the children. The reporter published stories of this, which got them national fame. They got book deals out of it, and they tried to attract clients. How the hell did you win Call of Cthulhu? Yeah, so this local policeman got basically branded forever as a horrible child murdering bastard. The prime time the reporter walked off with millions of pounds of money. They're like, yeah, nice. Yeah, I'll give you that. So again, I was fully intending that game to end on a downer ending, because everybody died, no one wins Call of Cthulhu. But again, it was so unexpected. I couldn't overrule what the players done. Like, you earned that victory. As much as I hate you for it, I'm going to give you that victory. Yeah, it was pretty funny though from my perspective.
Until the Dark Lord rises, that's the true bad ending.
Yeah, everyone died. Yeah. Any others?
I wonder if you've got any advice on dealing with certain type of problem player that's a miscommunicator, someone who isn't as good at communicating as they think they are, and kind of, for example, they would make a deal with one of the NPCs and not make the deal that they think they're making. I can use an example. Another game where the player has wanted to, the group has been in a city that's walled off and gated down. And they wanted a quick way out past all the guards, so they bribed the guards. So the player was going to give the guards some information they wanted to get a deal out. But that's not what they said. They went to the guard and said, we can give you information. Here's a sample of the stuff we can give. And left. Saying to the guard, we'll give you more when you want out. But that's not what the player thought that this was done and dusty. So it's things like that, and also with miscommunications, players that deliberately use ambiguous wording. So they declare an action, and then when they give me a roll for whatever, they'll then see what roll means and back out on their action, saying that's not what they meant.
The best thing to do is, like, with the talking board, always ask for clarification. So again, the whole, are you sure you want to do that? The second worst thing you can say is that what you're saying in character? So always make sure that the player is saying what they're saying in character, as opposed to what they're saying out of character to you as the GM. So always speak and just say, what exactly are you saying? And again, if it's something that, like again, we can give you information, that's it, just give them a prompt, like, do you want to tell them anything else? Don't give away plot points, but again, just make sure they say. And if they like roll the dice, if the dice is rolled, that is final, they can't take it back. Just make sure, like, if they declare their action, they roll the dice, they've done the action, you can't take it back, put your foot down with it.
It was more they back up before they roll the dice, when they find out what roll would be made.
Yeah.
And it's not what they, it's not so much that's not what they wanted, it's more that it feels like the
better.
Yeah. It feels like they've tried to, yeah. What I've tended to do, and it seems to work okay, is reword what they told me in my own words and get them, so this is what you're doing. And they've said, yeah. And then when they try and back out, I kind of go, well, I asked you if this is what you were doing, and you said yes.
Yeah, in which case they just say, they come back out of it. But what we do is you don't tell them what they need to roll. So if you look at it from the player's perspective, say they need to jump over a pit, and from the GM you think, oh, it's a DC 15 check. But to the player, you just say, oh, you think you can make it, or oh, it looks a bit difficult. Don't give them an actual number to aim for. Just look at it from the player's perspective. So then if they decide to roll on it, that is their decision. They can't look at their stats, because like what are your stats off the top of your head? You don't know it. When you look at a situation, you estimate if you can do it or not. And it's the same for the player characters. So don't say you need X successes to do it. Just tell them you think you can do it, but it's hard. Oh, you can make it a piece of cake. Try and make it vague, but if they declare the action, just ask them, are you sure, is this what you're doing? And get a definite answer. Once they give the answer, that is it. No matter how much they want, they can't back out of that answer. That is it. You have to put your foot down with them. I say it's a difficult one, that, but essentially you've got to draw the line somewhere.
I had a player who he did that a bit. Didn't realize he was doing it, had a word with him, but hadn't quite got it on. So I looked to might be a bit confusing with an object lesson and you can't take your decisions back. Throughout the course of the game, World of Darkness setting. This game set basically in the first year universe. The character going to get hold of a multi-tank with leather bound hole called Title Blood for the Blood Girl. Anyone think that funny as well as gold? Have much fun with it.
Sure, there's a book club somewhere.
Oh, we know this is the university's a club.
Yeah.
But his character spent weeks going through this and doing things, and eventually decided, oh, well, I'll need to form a ritual making pot. They had a massive making pot themselves. They're an awful lot better into it. In the end, the little room they made on the floor glowed, and then nothing happened. When they went away, they came back, and there was someone standing there. This person looked at the chair outside of the runic circle, looked at the player, this character, and said, "Can I sit down?" What would everyone's initial reaction be as a response?
You can.
He said yes. Stepped down the circle, sat down, and took the other players about 20 minutes to stop laughing, which I feel kind of bad for. He had just let basically an elder demon free in the world. But
I guess by that, sometimes the players will do really stupid action, so always clarify, are you sure? And if they do it, they're just going to have to face the consequences. And so do you as a GM, you have to face the consequences of what they've done. Well, that's half the rule, to be honest. Yeah? Anyone else? Yeah?
It's sort of interesting if you don't tell them their roles. When you make them fight a monster for the first time especially, never say you're fighting 3 skeletons. Because if you have a rules lawyer, they'll go, oh, it's on page something of the rules book, it has this much health, it has these attacks, don't bother. Just describe the monster to them with the description that comes in the book, or make up something.
Yeah.
It hides the fact that you may have modified it in some way. You may not have. It may just be the straight monster. But ultimately, it means they don't know what they're fighting.
Yeah.
They don't know exactly where in the book to look.
Yeah, and one really nice thing to do as well, like in terms of damage. So say the players swing and they do 5 damage. You don't say the monster takes 5 damage. Just say, your sword digs into it. It looks a bit wonky, but it's still able to fight. When it starts getting low HP, but it's looking really bad. It's heaving, it's bleeding heavily, but it's still ready to fight. So don't say, oh, it's got 10 hit points left. Describe what the monster's looking at. Is it still raring to go? Did that blow glance off its head and do anything? Did they dig it deep into its shoulder or spray of blood everywhere? give them a visual idea. So like if you decided to beat up the person next to you for some reason, you're not thinking, oh, they've got 10 hit points there. You're thinking, oh, they're looking battered and bruised, the fight's gone out of them. So just describe what the monster looks like. Don't let the players know how much HP is left, because they're not going to know it in real life, they're not going to know it in the game either. I guess it's more fun to describe what's happening, so yeah, one of my players got shot by magical shotguns. Rather than just say, oh, he took however many points of damage, just got, oh, your shoulder exploded in showers of blood and gore, and the players got splattered and stuff. You're down on the floor, you're bleeding out, not just you've taken 5 points of damage. So be descriptive with your damage, it's a lot of fun, so.
So that's a particular point which I only really started appreciating after a long time GM and then being a player, because it made us realise that for the longest while it wasn't being as descriptive with how healthy the enemies are looking, until being on the other side, that's like, how healthy are they actually looking? How close are they? How close?
Yeah, it's good to give them a surge of hope as well, like when the monster's getting staggered. They say, yes, come on guys, we can do it, one more final push.
And then it evolves 2 extra limbs.
Oh, yeah, you've still broken its final form. Oh, very good. Yeah.
Drill on.
Yeah, it's like it's going back to like the location with the 5 senses. And don't just say, oh, you hit the monster, oh, you dodge out of the way. Describe it. What the players doing? They don't dodge out of the way. You throw yourself to the side, tumbling in the dirt, so the monster's claw smashes down where you were. That is one of the most fun things about being the GM. You get to ham it all. So yeah, don't be afraid to describe things and make it exciting.
Yes, how do you deal with a situation where, like, say, 3 players are happily going on with your plot, something like that, but you got that one player who wants to go left field, wants to do that, and then
Oh yeah, the big bugbear, never split the party. There's always someone who's decided to hold Scooby-Doo, let's split up gang. I said, yeah. It is a nightmare for a GM, because essentially you're then running 2 separate games. So one thing I like to do, sometimes the players do split up the plot, like that bunker one I was running the other day. Some players decide to stay in the control room, others decide to explore elsewhere. So one thing to do is to flash back and forth between the 2 parties. So spend 15 minutes on one party, 15 minutes to the other. So if you're focusing all your time on one party, you're also just going to get bored. But if you're flicking back and forth, it's difficult to keep track of what's going on, but it really helps. But every now and again, you'll get a player who's just been an absolute dick. So like in the Mystery Dungeon game, one player found the orphanage he grew up in and found he was under attack by some enemies. So all the players decided, we're going to help this guy and defeat the enemy that make him an orphan. Apart from one guy who was like, no, it's a stupid idea, I'm not going to do it. So everyone else went on an adventure, and he's just stuck there in the orphanage doing anything. And it's like, so at some point you've got to put your foot down and say, look, if you go off there, there's nothing for you to do. Sometimes you have to be a bit mean about that, but if possible, just try and switch between the 2 parties, and just try and get them together and interacting as much as possible. So like with the 2 parties, like the team in the control room are interacting with the ones by the loudspeaker system. So again, it's very difficult to juggle, but you can do it.
So, that's just a human being looking at that.
Yeah.
You did argue about it, you decided it was the perfect time to start the pie empire.
Yeah, hey, don't you judge my pie empire. No, like, great, that was my halfling chef, by the way, for the game for all the money, so.
I might be just a meaner GM, but on that point there, sometimes with some players you will find that, say you're having once that they go off and decide they don't want to do it, you can do that flipping back, but occasionally you'll have a player who fundamentally every single session they're going off doing something else. And at that point you need to either have a conversation, like gently at first saying, you're not quite taking part in the adventure, like everyone else, you haven't having a good time, but yeah, you're not quite getting in.
Yeah,
and ultimately it can possibly lead to a conversation, which is a bad conversation, you don't want to do it, but some players do not in certain games.
So a lot of the time, if the players do something bad, they don't realise they're doing something bad, they don't realise it's a problem. So sometimes if you just speak to them, just say, you know, it's not really working, they'll realise what they're doing is wrong. But sometimes if they are just being a dick, you've got to make a sensitive decision to say, no, seriously guys, cut it out. The game doesn't revolve around you, it revolves around everyone. So, well, saying about split sessions though, I remember one session I did run where the players had to investigate a mountain, but I deliberately separated them to 2 parties. Because 2 factions were warring over the mountain. So unbeknownst to everyone else, they each sided with a different faction and only found out when they came to war right at the end. But I had everyone go to a separate room and come up with their battle plan separately. So comes round. So if you can juggle it, it works really well, and it is good to do. But it's a problem. Try and keep the parties together. Don't separate them.
It's also great for horror ones because you can leave them on cliffhangers and just completely mess with them by saying, right, so, and then this happens, now you. And just leave them trying to get that extra.
Yeah, as a horror GM, it's great. If the player goes off by themselves, like, oh, they're the same player that came back, all they need to do about everyone's knowledge. It's
Also
great.
locking doors behind people is absolutely amazing for splitting them up as well. Like, you can get them exactly where you want them.
Anyone? Oh, guys, well, looking at the time, we have slightly overruled, but with the last. Oh, go.
I've got a scenario where I deal well with the GM with just brilliant dice rolls. The GM wanted to kidnap my character for plot reasons, and my character was going to go down fighting. So where I was swinging and everything, I was dodging everything, I was hitting people for insane amounts of damage, and after the session, GM went to me and went, fucked up my whole plan, but I've got you where I want you more or less, so quit in the end.
Yeah, again, because I had something similar where I was running a World War II game where we played with the special ops fighting against the Eldritch forces of the Third Reich. And in one session, don't knock my game. And at the end of one session, I tended to get the players captured and sent to a prisoner of war camp. So they went up against 2 Nazi archmages with a platoon of soldiers and 2 werewolves. I was like, right, he's looking away. Yes, it's your fault. Yeah. And I was like, right, there's no way the players are going to get this. So, but of course, they managed to bundle into a biplane. They're like 2 feet around the runway trying to get it. One of the werewolves leaps through the door, rips it off. For the World of Darkness players here, one of the players was a changeling. And changelings have this ability to open doorways to the hedge, which is an Eldritch dimension. He turned the doorway into a gateway to another dimension. The werewolf jumped straight through. He slammed the door. The other one jumped through the window. One of the players got the fire extinguisher, rammed it into his face, knocked it into the propeller, and werewolf sprayed everywhere. Like, right, so get this powerful archmage, just put it into a lightning bolt spell to blast the plane out. The player who's the mage, I'm going to roll crit. Counterspell, the maze electrocuted the archmage, and the players just sail away over the horizon. It's like, how? Yeah, but again, stuff like that, you just rolled it. I had them captured in a later session. But it's like, it was a lot of fun, but it's like, no, seriously. This is not the first time he did the hedge disposal system as well, by the way. So yeah, sometimes your players will ruin your plot, but just roll with it. Not fun, yeah?
Yeah, we had something similar in the game I played. The entire campaign was set around the players get sent to the astral realm by these wizards, but it's all separate, so we're all from different parts of the world. And the first section was just 2 or 3 players at a time having their introduction of them getting sent. And the DM had no idea, had completely set this wizard has, just basically just do it. But didn't expect us in the first round. We threw out these crazy tactics. I think one of our guys summoned 2 owlbear skeletons and then started grappling him.
Every special owlbear.
And all these things we just threw out, and we ended up pinning him to the floor and like coup de grace and finishing this what's supposed to be an possibly difficult to defeat wizard who was meant to just send us to the astral realm, and we managed to kill him. And the DM just said, look, I don't want to fudge the rolls like this, but I just can't have this happen, because otherwise you guys aren't in the campaign.
Well, as long as the players are a good sport about it.
Yeah,
because I was in a similar situation where one of my friends ran a game based on sliders, like the TV show where they jump into dimensions. And so I was the crazy Russian scientist who created this device that was going to send everyone going. And yes, you again. He was playing the electric engineer who was coming to turn off my power, so I hadn't paid the bill. And so all this dimensional evidence is all going crazy. The intention of us getting sucked into the dimension. And he's like, right, I'm just going to turn off the power. I pulled out a gun to intimidate it. He got a crit, looked at me, sorry love, you ain't paid the bill, turned off the power, got into his van and drove off. It's like, so, right, first session, you're out of it. So the GM GM was just like, no, come on guys, we just had a backwash of energy to teleport the player here. So yeah, sometimes if the players are a good sport, just override what they've done if they're happy with it.
You have done the opposite before and make something really easy, really hard. All they do is sneak out of the cave full of squigs, leave an exploding barrel.
Yeah, I stand by that. That was a good plan. Yeah, squigs, if you don't know, are basically giant bouncy balls with teeth. And I got through a cave with them, and decided the best way to deal with this horrible monster nest is to light a barrel of dwarven spirits and kick it into the cave. Unfortunately, I didn't realise the other players were entering from the opposite entrance of the cave. And they were trapped in a giant bouncy ball pit filled with teeth that were on fire. And it's like, yeah, it was a good plan, I stand by it.
What I found a good way to kind of get players to go along with the plot. It's just like, I know this one, Weapons of the Gods, but you could use it in any system. But that has bribe players. You can offer them a bribe, usually it's a little bit of XP. And if they accept the bribe, then that happens. You could go, okay, I want the group to be captured, and you bribe them with XP. If they accept the bribe, you can still have a fight, regardless of what they do, they will end up captured. Yeah. Or if you want one player to be captured, you can offer that player a bribe. Or if there's fighting a bad guy, you want that bad guy to get away to come back later, but they're probably going to kill him. You offer them a bribe to.
Yeah, it's in a bit of a grey area between railroad. That is quite nice, but it's still play choice at the end of the day.
So whether they accept the bribe or not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's a system that could actually be a really good idea. What was that system again?
Weapons of the Gods.
That's it, yeah. Okay, I'll make a note of that. Yeah, that's a quite good idea, that. So.
But it doesn't have to be XP, other things, but quite commonly it's 1 or 2 points of XP.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Anyone? Yeah?
Do you have any fun stories about your players and dice? Because in 40k game we were playing, someone was rolling really high on the 100s and decided after about the 4th or 5th time of rolling something in 90 odd, he would flush the dice down the water.
Well, there's that whole reason we got the Emperor's Finest GM or Player Award for the guy who came really screwing up. But one in the recent World of Darkness game I'm playing, the players TLDR ended up causing Dante's Inferno. And the players did, when they got to about the 2nd level, the players thought, actually, this is a lot like Dante's Inferno. Right, what do we know about Dante's Inferno? It says, okay, well, just roll to see what you guys can remember. Now, in World of Darkness, you generally expect to get like 1 or 2 successes in an average roll. A crit is 5 successes. One of the players got 11 successes. And I'm like, how the hell do you think you can recite it word for word? And essentially what we decided to do was that he could come up with 11 individual facts from it. So I wasn't going to send him on a book. But my God, no, that was pretty amazing. 11 successes in a single. That is like basically rolling a d20 and getting 40. Yeah, and again, him punching the werewolf in the face, because in World of Darkness, to knock something out, you have to do damage equal or greater to its size. So a werewolf, Guru werewolf is I think like size 6, and in a single punch, he got through its defense and did 7 damage to it. It was like this giant slaver, an 8-foot-tall monster. Now has to roll to stay conscious. Because you punch it. Yes, yeah. He got eaten in the end, but yeah. It's always really funny when players roll high or low, so feel free to use that into the game. Because some people hate it when you get a crit, it gives you an auto success. But for us, it's funny. Yeah, if it makes you laugh, if it makes the players laugh, just go with it.
One of the very first scenarios as a player, I played a pacifist team. I told the DM right at the start, he's a pacifist, he will not attack anyone ever. At the end of the game, we had a villain and we had to defeat the villain. He admitted afterwards he had 3 waves of enemies. Once we defeated the first villain, he had further villains. I said, no, we're not going to attack that villain. I am going to defend him because I'm a pacifist. The other characters ended up attacking me. One of the other characters said, yes, actually that makes sense. I'm going to defend him. So it was 2 against 2. The final fight of the entire campaign was the two characters facing two characters. The 3 waves of enemies disappeared. At the end of it, we had 2 people either ended up on the winning side somehow.
Pacifist crush.
Pacifist crush. And we ended up doing the end game stuff as a 4 people somehow.
I suppose, in all fairness, I could spend all day talking to you guys, but the guy in the projection room is looking really, really bored. I think he might be dropping hints he wants to come home, so we're going to have to wrap it up. So we've got time for one more
this
question.
conversation over there just outside those doors.
Yeah, so, I know, we'll have time for one more question if anyone wants it, yeah?
What's the favourite player character you yourself play?
Oh.
The Hobbit is weary.
Yeah, no, I don't think she was my favourite. She was pretty good though.
Have you picked anything?
Yeah. I think one of my favourite was the one in that Discworld game. She was a black ribbon vampire called Florence the Magpie, and she was, I won't say she was an idiot, but she wasn't all that bright. That was mainly my way to get around the fact I didn't know too much about the world at the time. And so she started out as just a shopaholic vampire. I assume everyone knows about black ribbon vampires. They don't drink blood, they have an addiction instead, and hers was shopping instead. So she started out as kind of like a good-natured dick, but this game went on for 2 years. So over time, like, she grew and she grew. Like, Nolly here, he was a character from the first game as well, and he was playing a human. So eventually, these 2 characters became really, really good friends. We went to Uberboard and we actually got to develop her backstory about how she used to be human, and this is going to sound so bad. She used to be human, and she ended up marrying one of the magpie vampires. God, it's like from Twilight, I'm saying as well. Yeah, but then like,
7 years probably.
yeah, it's better than it sounds. So then, like, we had her backstory about how the in-laws absolutely hated her because she was a peasant and stuff, and she's waiting for her husband to reform again. And then right at the very end of the final session, Kim, her best friend, died. So she had to choose to turn him into a vampire to save him, even though it damned him. Yeah, even though it damned him at the same time. And she was just such a fun character to play because, like, she started slipping down humanity, getting darker and darker and losing her happiness. Then she clawed her way back. She still believed in the goodness of people. So I really loved playing her. She was so much fun to play. So she broke a few games along the way. So, oh yeah, I accidentally caused a global war on the disc. I really wish I'd written to Terry Pratchett about it. I'll do a quick story time.
Dropped the base on the
yeah, we had to
While
break.
he was knocked out on
Yeah,
the
but is it the salt of the Clash? Yeah, the guy who ran the Clash. We had to infiltrate his palace. So she was disguised as a dancing girl. Got taken back to his room when he was drunk and he passed out. So I'm like, right, I don't need to know who I am. I'll get the most expensive vase in the room and smash it over his head to knock him out. No, I didn't. All I did was annoy him. I was like, who's going to summon the guards? I'll kick him in the head to knock him out. I rolled the most damage I've ever done in my life. And I took his head clean off. Shit, I just murdered the Sultan of Clash, right? I'm going to bail. So I got the hell out of there. Suddenly the guards discovered that I've just killed the leader of this nation. The whole palace goes in uproar. We have to like bail as quickly as we can. The surrounding princes and like the border regions discover there's now a power vacuum. They start warring with each other to take over Clash. They call in their neighbours, so all the surrounding countries get involved in this global war. Yeah, we ended up in Death's Realm at one point. There were shelves full of all of these dead people. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And it's like, yeah, and it became a running thing in the game that I just devastated. I cost millions of people's lives across the disc, and yeah. I'm not allowed to kick things. It's not the first time I've broken a game.
That's not the most damage she did with the kick.
Yeah, I've broken interdimensional gates as well doing it. Oh, that aforementioned when I said about the pirate crew, yeah, they died because I kicked something as well. Specifically a berserker, and TLDR, the ship exploded. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, I'm not allowed to kick things. But yeah, Florence is definitely one of my favourite ever characters. So, yeah. Right, go, but I think the guy over there wants to go home. I don't know what he's doing. So thank you all for this.